65 million years ago, a space rock decided it hated dinosaurs and canceled their show before season 2. The result? No more T-Rex selfies, no Triceratops traffic jams, and no velociraptors crashing backyard barbecues. But what if that asteroid missed? What if the dinosaurs stuck around, dominating the planet like the prehistoric overlords they were meant to be? Would humans have made it past the starting line? Would we be using raptors instead of horses, or hiding in caves hoping a T-Rex doesn't mistake us for lunch? Strap in, because today we're diving into a world where dinosaurs never got their dramatic finale. It's chaotic, it's absurd, and it's probably going to make you glad you weren't born 65 million years earlier. 65 million years ago, Earth was not the cozy, human-dominated rock we know today. Instead, it was essentially a giant theme park, with dinosaurs as the main attraction. Dinosaurs ruled the planet for an impressive 165 million years. For context, humans have barely managed to hang around for 300,000 years, which is like being late to a party, eating all the snacks, and leaving the place a mess. Back then, though, Earth was a vibrant, albeit terrifying, playground of massive, scaly creatures who didn't care about your TikTok following or your morning coffee ritual. The end of this dino-dominated era came suddenly. A giant asteroid, roughly the size of Mount Everest, crashed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The asteroid didn't just knock politely at Earth's door, it obliterated the entire ecosystem in one catastrophic event. Picture a planetary reset button being hit with the enthusiasm of someone rage-quitting a video game. The collision caused earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, and a massive dust cloud that blocked sunlight for years, plunging the planet into a nuclear winter scenario. Plants died, herbivores starved, and carnivores ran out of things to eat. It was an extinction-level event that wiped out about 75% of all species, including every last dinosaur, except for the ones that evolved into birds. But what if that asteroid missed? Imagine it sailing past Earth, maybe after being knocked off course by some space debris, or simply deciding to mind its own business. Suddenly, the entire trajectory of life on Earth would be altered. No mass extinction, no opening for mammals to take over, and certainly no humans debating pineapple on pizza. To understand what would have happened, we first need to appreciate just how dominant dinosaurs were. They weren't just big reptiles lumbering around, they were highly specialized creatures adapted to a variety of environments. From the towering Brachiosaurus, which could stretch its neck to snack on the tallest trees, to the speedy velociraptor who could outrun most of today's Olympic sprinters, dinosaurs had perfected the art of survival. They ruled the skies, the seas, and the land. If the asteroid had missed, their reign would have continued uninterrupted. Mammals at the time were small, furry, and mostly nocturnal. Think of them as tiny, terrified roommates, sneaking around in the shadows while their dinosaur landlords threw raging parties above. Without the mass extinction event, mammals likely wouldn't have had the chance to evolve into larger and more complex species. This means no saber-toothed tigers, no woolly mammoths, and definitely no humans. Let's pause for a second to imagine this alternate timeline. Picture Earth as it was back then. Lush forests, vast plains, and oceans teeming with prehistoric life. It's a world where dinosaurs continue to dominate every ecosystem. T-Rexes still stomp around as apex predators, Stegosauruses roam the jungles, and pterosaurs patrol the skies like nature's very own fighter jets. Now insert humans, or at least the idea of humans, into this world. Spoiler alert, it's not going to go well for us. The reality is that mammals would have remained small and relatively insignificant. Without the extinction event clearing the stage, there would have been no evolutionary pressure for mammals to grow larger or smarter. After all, why evolve a big brain when the only thing you're trying to do is avoid becoming dino snacks? So, the first big question is whether humans would have even existed in this timeline. The answer, probably not. But for the sake of argument, let's say humans somehow managed to evolve alongside dinosaurs. We'd be entering a world where survival would be infinitely more challenging. Imagine trying to invent fire while a pack of raptors eyes you from the bushes, or attempting to build a shelter only to have a curious brontosaurus accidentally flatten it. Civilization would have looked very different, assuming we even made it that far. One major hurdle would have been competing for resources. Dinosaurs were massive, and they had massive appetites to match. The lush vegetation of prehistoric Earth would have been gobbled up by herbivorous dinosaurs like Triceratops, leaving little to nothing for mammals. And let's not even get started on the carnivores, who would view humans as a convenient new item on the menu. Another challenge? Territorial dominance. In our current timeline, humans became the apex predators, taking control of land, resources, and ecosystems. But in a dinosaur-filled world, we'd be sharing, or rather ceding, territory to creatures who are bigger, stronger, and far better adapted to the environment. Building cities or even small communities would be nearly impossible when a passing ankylosaurus can casually bulldoze through your carefully constructed mud huts. Let us take it one by one. It's a planet teeming with life, but not the kind of life we know today. Instead of cities, highways, and Starbucks on every corner, the Earth would still belong to the dinosaurs. And let's be clear, this wouldn't just be a Jurassic Park scenario. It would be way more chaotic, unpredictable, and probably terrifying. Dinosaurs were everywhere back then. Huge plant eaters like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus would roam the forests and plains, munching on trees and shrubs like they were nature's salad bars. These gentle giants would be the skyscrapers of this world, towering over everything, casting shadows across the land. Meanwhile, smaller plant eaters like iguanodons would scurry about, gobbling up whatever vegetation was left. But it wasn't all peaceful grazing. Predators like T-Rex, Allosaurus, and Velociraptors would be on the hunt, keeping the herbivores on edge. Imagine walking through a forest only to hear a deep, bone-shaking roar behind you. Yeah, you wouldn't stick around to find out what it was. In this world, staying alive would mean constantly looking over your shoulder, or just staying indoors. If you could manage to build a house sturdy enough to withstand a curious Triceratops, dinosaurs dominated every environment. The oceans wouldn't be safe either. Giant marine reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs would rule the seas, making even the bravest swimmer think twice about dipping a toe in the water. In the skies, pterosaurs would be swooping down, catching fish or small animals. It'd be like living in a world where danger comes from land, sea, and air. And let's talk about food. Dinosaurs ate a lot. A single Brachiosaurus could eat hundreds of pounds of plants every day. That's bad news if you're a mammal trying to survive. Dinosaurs would gobble up most of the vegetation, leaving little for smaller creatures. This means mammals, assuming they even evolved into something bigger than a squirrel, would constantly struggle for resources. Humans, if we somehow existed in this dinosaur-run world, wouldn't be at the top of the food chain. We'd be somewhere near the bottom, just trying not to get eaten. Hunting would be nearly impossible when you're competing with a T-Rex that can smell you from a mile away. Farming, forget it. Dinosaurs like hadrosaurs would trample your crops long before you could harvest them. Now, let's imagine somehow manage to build cities around these massive prehistoric creatures. Spoiler alert, it's a logistical nightmare. First off, let's talk infrastructure. In a dinosaur-run world, cities wouldn't just be designed for people. They'd have to accommodate creatures the size of small buildings. Sauropods like Brachiosaurus or Diplodocus could reach lengths of over 80 feet and weigh as much as 50 tons. Streets would need to be widened, not for SUVs, but for giant walking dinosaurs. Bridges would have to be reinforced to handle the occasional Apatosaurus crossing, and forget about overhead power lines. One wrong move from a long-necked dino and the entire city would go dark. Public transportation would also need a complete overhaul. Imagine a subway car trying to fit a T-Rex. Would it get a seat? Absolutely not. But it would get the whole car, because who's going to argue with a creature that could chomp through steel like it's taffy? And let's not even get started on raptors. They'd probably sneak on board without paying and scare everyone out of their seats anyway. Parking? That's another headache. If you think it's hard to find a spot for your car now, imagine trying to park your pet raptor. Are there raptor garages? Do we charge extra for carnivores? And don't even think about parallel parking a Triceratops. It's not happening. Skyscrapers might survive in this world, but only if they're dino-proofed. Glass windows? Nope. Too easy for a curious pterosaur to shatter. Rooftop gardens? Forget it. Some sauropods could stretch their necks high enough to use your organic herb garden as a snack bar. Urban planners would probably have to design dino-free zones just to keep humans safe from a wandering T-Rex turning rush hour into a buffet. Parks would be even more interesting. Instead of playgrounds, you'd have grazing areas for herbivorous dinosaurs, complete with reinforced fences to keep the carnivores out, and the humans from accidentally wandering into the wrong part of the park. Think of it as Jurassic Central Park, but with fewer joggers and more running for your life moments. And then there's waste management. Let's face it, a single Brachiosaurus could probably produce more waste in one day than an entire city block of humans. Cities would need teams dedicated to dino cleanup, complete with heavy machinery and protective gear. Forget trash day, we'd need poop day. But for all the chaos, there are upsides to dino-friendly cities. Imagine dino-assisted construction, where triceratops are used to clear land, or sauropods are harnessed to lift heavy materials. Need something transported across town? Strap it to a stegosaurus. Sure, it might take longer than a truck, but think of the fuel savings. Urban planning in a world with dinosaurs would be chaotic, hilarious, and borderline impossible. But hey, if we can figure out traffic circles, maybe we'd figure this out too. Probably. Would dinosaurs evolve? Dinosaurs were already incredibly successful at adapting to their environments. But what if they had millions more years to evolve? Some scientists think dinosaurs might have gotten smarter over time. Imagine a world where velociraptors learned to open doors or T-Rexes figured out how to team up for hunting. Would they develop their own tools or even some form of communication? It's not impossible, but it's definitely unsettling. And what about feathers? We already know many dinosaurs had feathers, and some were likely colorful, like modern birds. In this alternate world, you might see dinosaurs evolving even brighter colors. Wait, you think this is the end of our imagination? Nah, we have a lot more. First, let's talk about how dinosaurs would have fit into our modern pop culture. Would they have replaced cats as the internet's favorite stars? Absolutely. Who needs grumpy cats when you've got a velociraptor pulling off an even better resting angry face? TikTok would be flooded with videos of people training their pet triceratops to sit, roll over, or not destroy the living room. And memes? You can bet T-Rex can't reach jokes would be everywhere. Then there's sports. Humans love competition, and dinosaurs would have taken this to a whole new level. Imagine a Dino Sports League with T-Rexes playing some high-stakes, tooth-filled version of rugby, or pterosaurs in a flying race that makes Quidditch look boring. And the Olympics? Dino riding events would be a highlight. Picture a velociraptor steeplechase or a synchronized swimming routine with plesiosaurs. The sponsorships alone would be worth billions. Even entertainment would have been reshaped. Movies like Jurassic Park wouldn't have been science fiction. They'd be documentaries. Watching humans foolishly try to control dinosaurs for profit would hit way too close to home. And let's be honest, Jeff Goldblum's iconic line, "Life finds a way," would still apply because, well, it's dinosaurs. Dinosaurs would have had a massive impact on religion and mythology too. In ancient times, people tended to worship things bigger and scarier than themselves, so it's not a stretch to imagine dinosaurs being revered as gods. T-Rexes could have been seen as symbols of power and destruction, while peaceful herbivores like Brachiosaurus might have been regarded as protectors of the natural world. Entire temples might have been built in their honor, complete with rituals involving dino idols and offerings of food, probably a lot of plants. On the flip side, dinosaurs might have also been viewed as giant, annoying nuisances. Imagine ancient farmers trying to grow crops, only to have a herd of ankylosaurs roll through and trample everything. Instead of gods, dinosaurs might have been blamed for everything from bad weather to failed harvests. Modern religion and folklore would have taken a different path as well. Instead of dragons or mythical beasts, we'd have tales of heroic humans taming wild dinosaurs or fending off carnivorous ones. Holidays might involve reenactments of epic battles between humans and dinosaurs, and religious texts could include warnings about respecting the creatures that share our planet. Now let's get real. Sharing a planet with dinosaurs wouldn't have been easy. In fact, it probably would have been humanity's ultimate survival test. While we like to think of ourselves as adaptable and clever, living alongside creatures that could flatten us with one step would have required next-level ingenuity. First off, let's address the obvious. Dinosaurs are huge, and we are not. Early humans would have had to completely rethink how to stay alive. Forget flimsy caves or wooden shelters. Those wouldn't stand a chance against a curious T-Rex. We'd need to build sturdier homes, likely perched on cliffs or high in trees, where only the most determined dinosaurs could reach us. Think of it as prehistoric treehouse living, but with more screaming and fewer marshmallow roasts. Humans would have also developed new tools and weapons to fend off or manage dinosaurs. Stone-tipped spears? Probably not enough. We're talking bigger, more robust weapons designed to keep a hungry Allosaurus at bay. Picture trebuchets that launch massive boulders or early versions of catapults loaded with flaming tar. Over time, we might have even developed specific dino repellents, chemicals, sounds, or barriers designed to keep dinosaurs from invading our spaces. Imagine carrying a pocket-sized sound emitter that mimics a bigger predator's roar to scare off smaller dinos. To survive, humans would have likely established dino-free zones. Entire communities could have been built in areas dinosaurs avoided, like deserts or colder climates. But this would have come at a cost. Those areas might not have been as fertile or resource-rich, forcing humans to work even harder just to get by. The choice would have been simple: live in safety with fewer resources or risk it all for better farmland in dino territory. Humans have always been inventive, especially when survival is at stake. In a dino-dominated world, we would have turned these massive creatures into assets, tools to help us shape civilization rather than destroy it. Take farming, for example. The Industrial Revolution gave us steam-powered tractors, but imagine the same revolution powered by dinosaurs. Triceratops could have been harnessed to pull plows, turning over soil more efficiently than any horse or ox ever could. Sauropods, with their massive size and long necks, might have been used for irrigation. Think of them transporting water from rivers to farmlands with giant buckets. And manure? Let's just say we wouldn't have run out of fertilizer. In warfare, dinosaurs would have completely changed the game. Forget horses. Imagine an armored ankylosaurus stomping into battle with its club-like tail swinging. Pterosaurs could have served as the ultimate aerial scouts, giving humans an advantage over ground-based enemies. And if someone managed to train a pack of velociraptors, that's a nightmare army no one would want to face. Medieval knights riding T-Rexes into combat? Terrifying, but also undeniably cool. Transportation would have looked different too. Dinosaurs might have replaced traditional vehicles, especially for tasks requiring brute strength. Need to move heavy materials? Call in a Stegosaurus? Long-distance travel? Strap a saddle to a hadrosaur and enjoy the scenic route. Sure, they'd be slower than cars, but who needs speed when you've got style? Even energy production might have had a dino twist. Instead of relying on coal or wind power, humans could have created systems where dinosaurs turned massive wheels to generate mechanical energy. Imagine entire dino-powered factories, with different species assigned to different tasks based on their size and strength. It's like the Flintstones, but with fewer jokes and more engineering. Would we have made it? Here's the big question. Would humans have even survived long enough to invent TikTok or complain about Mondays? It's hard to say. Coexisting with dinosaurs would have required constant vigilance, endless creativity, and a whole lot of luck. But if there's one thing humans are good at, it's figuring out how to adapt. Whether that's by taming the wild, turning predators into allies, or building tools to level the playing field. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with the person you love.